So we just got a new trailer, a new Darth Maul trailer a few weeks ago, and there are a lot of things that I think still need answers regarding what the show is going to be about and the kind of premise behind it. But my initial reaction to the trailer is that I thought it seems interesting. It looks good. I think the action looks good, and there's a good amount of it in the trailer. The only thing with all of the cool stuff that was shown is that I hope that's not all of the cool stuff. I think a fair concern to have is that they may have shown every cool thing about the series in the trailer, and I hope that's not true. I hope that's kind of just a little bit of it, and they saved a lot of maybe even better stuff for the actual series. Um, I believe it's 10 episodes, so it'll be interesting to see how they kind of utilize all of the episodes, like where I'm assuming there's going to be some filler episodes, but hopefully not. Again, we'll see. I think my favorite part about the trailer was the Duel of the Fates in the background in one of the scenes. Um, I hope there's more of that in the series, and I think using the John Williams Star Wars music in Star Wars is super important, and I feel like they've gotten away from that in the recent stuff. I think the music is a big part of Star Wars, and I hope we get a lot of that in the show. But to kind of sum it up again, this reaction, I liked it. There's a lot of action. I hope there's a ton of that in the show. Ton of lightsaber fights, all of that, and I hope this is a good series. So, getting into what we know about the series so far and what's been confirmed, the series is set sometime after the Clone Wars, right at the beginning of the Empire's reign, and Darth Maul is plotting to rebuild his crime syndicate on a planet that is untouched by the Empire or kind of hasn't been occupied by the Empire yet. And on this journey of what Maul's trying to accomplish with his crime syndicate and building that up, he meets a disillusioned Jedi Padawan who could potentially become an apprentice of his to eventually get revenge on those who have done him wrong, likely meaning, the people that he hates, Palpatine, Obi-Wan, um, but most likely the Empire. I think Maul has this sort of feeling of betrayal from Sidious and how he was supposed to be where Vader was or is essentially, and he thinks he should be there, and in his eyes, he deserves to be. Now, getting into the trailer itself, it kind of shows this gritty part of the galaxy that these crime groups have kind of settled in and are operating in, essentially. And then we see the Empire. It shows them not only trying to hunt down Darth Maul, but also, which we already knew has been happening during this time, is they're hunting Jedi as well. And we see this potential apprentice of Darth Maul being hunted down by stormtroopers and trying to defend herself. And it also looks like Darth Maul is being hunted by not only the Empire, but also maybe bounty hunters as well. There's an image of him in a hologram, and there appears to be a bounty out for him and his capture. And so, if that's the case, you likely have bounty hunters also trying to capture, or maybe kill Darth Maul. Um, Another thing that could be the case with this is that maybe Darth Maul is going after these people instead of them going after him. I mean, there could be a bounty out on him, or he could be the one hunting these people down himself and trying to kill these people to eventually rise to the top of power, um, in the crime syndicate world, um, or criminal underworld, or whatever you want to call it, because we obviously see him attacking these people who aren't stormtroopers. So I think that can be implied also. Um, this Jedi appears to know who Darth Maul is, uh, referring to the young Padawan girl, um, because she refers to him as Maul. So whether she knows him through the other Jedi at the temple when she was there, or whether she's tied up in these crime syndicates and has figured out that he's involved in some way, and she knows him only maybe by face and not, what he's capable of, but she obviously knows him. We also see her in some action, which is interesting, whether it's her defending herself from people trying to attack her, like maybe bounty hunters or the Empire, or maybe she's with Maul at this point, and Maul is has taken her under his wing and is imploring her to embrace maybe a darker path, and she's attacking these people and trying to get a job done. It's a little unclear. And another thing we see is these Inquisitors, and one of them mentions or says literally that the Emperor wants you dead, likely referring to Maul. Doesn't like flat out say that, but I think that's obvious from the trailer and through other, context, which we know from the beginning. Now, if the Empire's after him at all, stormtroopers are obviously not going to be able to kill him. They're going to have to send other more powerful people uh, to capture him, and the Inquisitors are likely the next in line after stormtroopers in terms of, getting force wielding individuals. Um, Now, I think this begs the question, will Vader appear in the series? Because, yeah, I would say Maul is more skilled, more powerful, and would be able to best any Inquisitor that's thrown at him. Now, if Vader were to try to track him and hunt him down, that's a different story. And I would assume if Maul's making enough noise and the Emperor wants Darth Maul dead, I think Vader would probably know that Maul is out there. And Vader would probably be on the call to hunt him down and kill him next if any Inquisitor can't. Now, obviously, one Inquisitor wouldn't be enough to kill Maul. I think it's a fun thing to think about, like how many would it take to kill Maul? I would argue more than two, at least three. Um, and I would say these three would have to be, very skilled, very powerful, and I think it would take at least three of them to make it even close. And so again, we see a lot of fighting in this trailer, whether it's stormtroopers, what appears to be bounty hunters, inquisitors, and I hope this trailer didn't take all the fighting scenes and kind of put them in the trailer so that what we see in the trailer is everything we're going to get in the series. Um, I don't think that's the case, but again, you never know. Another thing I wanted to bring up, which I think is really interesting, is from an interview a while back. I forgot exactly when, but George Lucas had kind of talked about what he envisioned the sequel trilogy would look like. And I think it's worth mentioning because his villain in the sequels was going to be Darth Maul, and Darth Maul was going to have this apprentice named Darth Talon. And I know Darth Talon comes up in other legend stuff, but I think he was going to have Darth Talon be Maul's apprentice, like this enforcer type for him, kind of like what Vader is to Palpatine or Sidious in the original trilogy. And this is important because Darth Talon is a Twi'lek species, and this Jedi apprentice in the trailer um, for the Maul show is also a Twi'lek, so there's some similarities there. Now, obviously, it's a little different because Darth Maul would be, this timeline is different because Darth Maul obviously ends up dying in Rebels and doesn't live to the sequels, so you kind of can't get this timeline. It's not really connected. But I think they could be adapting that, those ideas to this because it's possible that in the show, Maul's kind of rise to power through crime syndicates, and then he ends up gaining an apprentice who could be named Darth Talon, again, which is kind of what George had wanted to do as in his treatment for the sequel trilogy. And now I think the name has been confirmed for the Jedi Padawan. I forget what it is, but it's not Darth Talon, and I wouldn't expect it to be Darth Talon. I think we'll learn her name, and I think there's a possibility that once Maul kind of officially takes her under his wing, we'll get a kind of it'll be like this alter ego switch where he'll name her Darth Talon, or maybe she named herself that after she kind of embraces the dark side. And it could be something kind of like what we see when Anakin becomes Vader and Sidious says, "Now you shall be known as Darth Vader." And, from then on, that's how he's addressed. And I think it'll be the same thing for this. Again, I don't know if this will happen. I would hope that's kind of where we're going. I think that's interesting. I think it would be cool in kind of trying to tie in some of what George had envisioned into this. Although I think it would be better if maybe the timelines match up to what he had envisioned instead of, having this happen between episodes 3 and 4 rather than in the sequel timeline. But yeah, I think that's an interesting idea, and obviously this isn't confirmed or anything, but I would say a lot of signs point to something like this. Again, I think it would be cool for her to be Darth Talon. I don't know if they're going to do that. I would honestly expect it to be a different name, um, or someone totally different entirely, that they kind of just took inspiration from. But again, if it is Darth Talon, that'd be super cool. And then kind of another thing, the last thing I want to talk about, which I think is something that I kind of wish would have happened for the series, is getting this in live action. I think a Darth Maul series in live action, obviously done the right way, but kind of like a gritty, um, kind of what was shown in the trailer, but obviously live action would have been really cool. It's obviously too late for that now, but something I think would have been better would be a live action version of this, but we'll have to live with the animation, which again also looks good. Now we'll see once this comes out April 6th. We'll see how good this ends up being, but it looks cool from the trailer. Maybe we get another trailer before this comes out, but we'll see. It looks cool, looks fun, and most of the time the Star Wars animated stuff is pretty good. So let me know what you think if you're seeing this, and we'll see what the show ends up being like.